Everyone, and welcome to a new video. Today's video is going to be all about an adventure that my mom and I are taking. We're going on a 4-day trip to Lancaster, Pennsylvania and the surrounding area. This has kind of become an annual trip for us. The first year we did it, it was mostly to go to all the fabric stores since Pennsylvania has so many, but then it's kind of transformed into an antiquing adventure. So we'll be going to a lot of antique malls and antique stores, as well as quite a few fabric shops along the way. We're going to be in the car for many hours today, so I'm dressed really comfortably. The shorts I think are Voodoo Vixen, and then I've got my ruffly socks on from Amazon. The shirt is from Kohl's, the Lauren Conrad collection. It's not super vintage looking, but I think it's cute and it matches well. And then I'm going to wear the Claire's, but I double knotted the laces so I couldn't get them on. So I'm going to figure that out in the car. But I'm bringing those shoes and then a pair of red shoes. So I've got an overall very patriotic kind of themed wardrobe for this trip. So I'm going to go ahead and get in the car.
Let's make it 10. 10 people. I'm going to send you a signed copy of Rise of the Jupiter. So that's at Chris Ducker, at whoever else you want to flirt.
It's been a couple hours since I updated you. I think my first and only check-in thus far was at 7 in the morning, and it is currently 12:47 p.m. But we made it to the first stop, which is Fabric Mart, and I really like this store. I'm actually not a big fan of the store itself, but I really like what they stock, and I order so much frequently from them online. They have a huge selection of rayon and apparel fabrics that are just great if you're making more casual pieces. So pretty much everything I've made for the Sewing Through the Decades project, I purchase materials from them. So the store is a little bit odd because they don't have prices on everything, and they also ship from the same place that you shop, so it's a little bit hectic. It's not my favorite browsing and purchasing experience, but I do like going here when we come up because they do have such a great selection. So I'm going to head in there and we will see what we find. I have so much of this at home, and this. It's weird going to a store that you normally shop online at because you recognize all of the fabrics.
If you want to tell them that.
We have left Fabric Mart and made our way over to Lace Place. It has really limited hours, so I wanted to come here kind of as soon as we could just to make sure that we didn't have to worry about the specific hours later on. It's a really neat shop. They have a very different selection of lace trim than what you get in New York City, and it's very affordable. So I do look forward to going here, but it's also the type of lace that I don't really need and don't really use. So I'm going to try and cut back my purchases this time, but I'm excited to see what they have. I want some lace for inset work. They're all eyelet laces. Crocheted lace.
My directional was corrected well off, just keeping the folder here and looking.
I got significantly more than I was planning on getting in there, but I really like what I got. I got some lovely colorful laces, and I also got a really neat ruffled trim. And now, depending on the time, we're going to antique stores, I think. And I'm really excited to finally get antiquing, because as much as that's fabric, I like going through old stuff too. So this is the surrounding area for Lace Place. It really is just kind of a gem in the middle of nowhere. And I would really highly recommend that store if you like lace. It's quite the treat to look around in, but as I've said in other videos, the service is a little bit slow. So it's definitely something you have to plan to go to and plan to spend time at. But yeah, it's located in between all of these farms. And when we were here last year, there was a ton of tobacco being grown. It was a really rich reddish color. So if we see more of that, then I shall point it out. But it's a very pretty area. So this is what I had planned for Wednesday. So we've gone to Fabric Mart, we've gone to Lace Place, now we're going to Vintage Kollections, and then there's another antique store right next to it that I don't like as much. Vintage Kollections is not the best antique shop in the world. It's basically just a converted house, but it's got a certain level of charm to it, and this is where I purchased vintage buttons in the past. Don't see the buttons. That's so cool. They still sell RAT dye.
Yeah, I know they do.
This room has books and things. Oh, they have clothing over there. That's not the shape of a strawberry. That bothers me. They're vintage paper dolls. So they'd come in magazines for the kids. We just got out of Cornfields, which is kind of part of the Vintage Collections building, and we didn't get anything in either, though they did have some cute stuff. We're in the country, Mom. It does smell very strongly of cow poop, though. This is Mill Property Antiques, and then there's an antique market over there. These didn't look super promising online, but we have the time to go to them, and sometimes the smaller shops are where you find the best things. Those are a maybe. I like it so much. Everything else in the booth is on sale except for the one I want. We're currently walking up a hill going to antique store number 2. The last one was really, really nice, and I purchased 2 dresses and a print, so I'm excited to see what this one has in store for us. So I think I filmed a clip outside of our last stop, and where we left off I said we were going into 2 smaller antique stores that didn't look super promising online. And one of them actually ended up being really nice. They were both pretty good and they had very reasonable prices, but the first one we went into, which was Mill Property Antiques, was by far the standout. They had a range of pretty much every type of antiques, and they also had some clothing. And though most of the clothing was from the 80s, they did have a few 1950s pieces, and they actually had 2 1950s dresses that fit me. So I left that store with 2 dresses along with a packet of vintage sewing needles and some buttons and a print, which I absolutely adore. It's a reprint, it's not an original print from the 1860s, but I love this dress so much. I think it is the prettiest gown, and I purchased this completely for reference alone. Then we went into this store, which is called Morgantown Market, and it was kind of weird because it had a variety of things you would expect to find at Home Goods, just kind of new crafty decor that you see in a lot of shops in this area and a lot of shops in just touristy places, I guess. But they did have some stalls that had more antiques, and they had a basement that had some more vintage clothing and some vintage hats that were nice, along with some vintage lace. So I picked up this lace, and I actually don't think that's that old. It has a normal barcode on it, but it was $3 for these pieces of lace, so I got one in white and one in the ivory tone. But we are currently just heading to a book sale, which is by our hotel. It's a really impressive book sale, so I'll show you that as well. And then we're going to make sure that our hotel is decent and free of bugs, and then we will go off and find food. Last time we came here, we came on the very last day of the sale, so the books were really, really cheap, but there was kind of a limited selection. So today we are here on the first day, so I'm excited to see what they have. Hopefully lots more sewing books. And this is one of like 4 tents, or 1/4 of the tent that they have set up, all full of books. That was kind of a bust. As I said last time, we went on the very last day, and I ended up getting, I want to say 3 or 4 sewing books, and one of them was a fashion studies book from the 1950s. So it had a whole bunch of different ideas for collars and sleeves, and it was just so cool. And then I looked it up after, and it turns out that book is worth like $100, and I paid $1.50 for it. So I was kind of hoping that coming on the first day here, there would be more variety in the stuff that I'm interested in, but it seemed very heavily religious focused, which I don't really recall it being last time around, but maybe all of those sold before the last day. So I might try it another day since it's very close to our hotel, but we didn't get anything today, which is kind of unfortunate. So this is where we are staying tonight, and it's a little dated, as you can probably tell by the fact that there are actual keys, but I just want to show it to you in all of its glory before I take off all of the covers and make sure there aren't bed bugs, because I am absolutely paranoid and terrified of bed bugs. But to be honest, I don't really care what it looks like as long as it's clean. It's 6:30 and we are both up and getting ready to go. So I have to put some makeup on and eat some breakfast. The lighting in this room is terrible, as I'm sure you probably tell by the yellow glow. Good morning, take 2. So we're now out of the hotel. It is 7:30. I had a chance to drink my coffee, to eat a little bit of breakfast, to try and do my very greasy hair, which ended poorly, but it's fine. So we're currently on our way to Zinck's / Goodville Fabric Outlet. I think it's been renamed to Zinck's, but it's in Goodville, and that's what it used to be called. I was originally planning on us going to Burkholder's today since it's in Denver, Pennsylvania, and there's a lot of antique stores in that area, but my mom wasn't interested in going there, so instead we're kind of going out of our way and heading over to Goodville first and getting there right as it opens at 8. And then we are actually still going to Denver. We're just not going to Burkholder's, and we're going to go to a whole bunch of antique mall / market things, which I'm really excited about because we went to the antique stores yesterday, but we haven't been into a big mall yet, and I haven't been into a big mall like that in quite a while. So the fabric outlet is located behind all of these warehouses. You can see the sign for it right there. And then around this, there's a whole bunch of farmland and fields. And I like this one and this one. This is where I got the orange material that you saw for my recent 1840s dress. This is the same style, it's just in green. So these are flat cuts, which means they don't cut them. You just buy whatever's there. So this is what they would do with things that were left on the bolts. I like this one, it's very 1940s to me. Feels really nice, and I do like that color. It is $2.50 for 10 yards. Oh, this one's neat. I'm gonna come back here. Oh, that's a cute print. It's cherries. Definitely coming back. Really like how this one feels, and it's machine washable. This one feels nice too. These are all spandex, I think, or knits. Gingham. I do like the teal gingham, that's pretty. And I like the orange. It'd be fun to do a dress that has like contrasting sizes of gingham pockets. This is the back room. This is all polyester lining fabric. Then this is all like what you would use for reupholstery in a retail setting, so like hotels. And these are probably offcuts that they had and then shipped here, and that's why they can sell them for a really low price. I'm very conflicted because I like all of the ginghams, and I kind of want to get it in purple and then this reddish one because I think that's really nice. And I actually really like the normal red, but I feel like I could get that somewhere at home. So I think I'm leaning towards getting the teal and then getting the pumpkin-y colored one because this would make a really nice fall dress, and this would be something nice for summer. Now I am trying to make my ribbon selections. Last time I was here, I bought a ton of ribbon and I ended up reselling most of it. But this time I think I'm just going to get some for myself, and they have such good prices. It's like this is a bolt trim and it's $10 for the 10 yards, and then it is 50% off that. So I like that one. I kind of like the pom-poms, but I don't think I need the pom-poms. I really like this black one, and I kind of like this smoky gray one too, though I don't know what I would use that on since it kind of leans green. And then I also really like the pink one that I showed you earlier. So in the end, I got 10 yards of that wool suiting blend that I really liked. That's the remaining suiting fabric. You can probably tell why I like it if you've been around for a while and you know my fabric choices. I really like it when materials have a little bit of texture and multicolors in them because it just makes them, I think, more fun to work with and more interesting to look at. And then I got the gingham in the teal in both the large print and the small print. And I purchased that cherry print, which doesn't feel very nice, but I really, really like the look of. I also got the orangey gingham, and then I got 3 fabrics for historical dresses, and I got 8 yards of all of them, which is probably a little bit excessive, but that's what we're here for. I ended up putting back the fuchsia trim, but I got 5 of the black satin trim. So I'm going to use this on some sort of bustle dress at some point. And I also purchased some zippers because they had a bunch of metal zippers there and they were only $1 each. So now we are off to Denver, Pennsylvania. We're going to go to Lancaster County Antique Market first, and then we're going to jump around. There's Pine Hills Antique Mall there, there's Mad Hatter Antique Mall, there's Adams Antique Mall, and there's German Trading Post, which we've been to before. I also just wanted to give a quick little review of that store. We've been there many times before, and I think whenever we come here, we're going to go back because it's really unique. It's just a massive structure and it has a really interesting selection of things. So they have quilting cottons at the front, and though they don't have the biggest range, their quilting cottons are by far the most affordable. I was going to say in the garment district. In the Pennsylvania area, I think all of their quilting cottons are $5.99 or under, which is really good since a lot of them are designer brands. They also have everything from like vinyl reupholstery material to tablecloth material to, I don't know, upholstery velvet to polyester prints and suitings and fleece, and it's just insane the variety of fabrics that they have there. I think regardless of what you make, you can find something there that interests you. So I'd highly recommend it if you're in the area, or even if you're not in the area, because it's a cool store. So now we are off to the antique places, and I will update you when we get there. We've made it to Denver. The antique stop of the day is the Antique Center of Lancaster County. This actually isn't the one closest to where we were before, but it's the one that opens before 10. So we're going to this first. I guess this is the outdoor flea market. We've been told anything over $10 is 10% off, over $5. It has shoes.
Oh, it does.
All sorts of old medical items. Can't really see with the glare of the glass, but it's super cool. An old jar of Vaseline.
It's one at the bottom too.
What you get your cheating boyfriend. I feel like ladyhead vases are something I should be into given my figurine obsession. I should find them kind of creepy though. Look at how pretty this is. It's only $85 too, which I think is pretty good for a ball gown. I think it'd be too small for me. This stall has been a huge winner for us. I thought these were really cool sunglasses, and then they have buttons, and my mom and I are actually getting a few pieces of clothing. They had a 1950s suit that fit me really well, as well as a 1940s dress in my size. So really, really lovely stall full of lovely, lovely things. I always thought it would be fun to make some of the original Barbie clothing. I just know nothing about it. So we are on our way to the next antique market or mall or whatever you want to call them, and we are going to the German Trading Post, which we've been to before. As I said, this one we hadn't been to before, and it ended up being really, really nice. It doesn't look super promising from the outside, but inside it had a lot of things in display cases and had a lot of very full display cases, like to the point where you missed things. I feel like that could be the type of store that you could just spend hours and hours in, whereas with some of the antique stores I feel quite done with them quite quickly. So I thought that was really neat, and I would definitely go back there. And they had a nice range of stuff. They had like medical supplies and presidential stuff and gloves and clothing. I purchased 2 dresses along with games and Barbies, and it was just a really nice selection, and I really enjoyed looking around there. So I'd be excited to go back again at some point in the future. Though my mom does want me to point out that they don't have public bathrooms that you're allowed to use. Next stop is Adams Antiques Annex, and we've been here before. I recall it being really nice, having a lot of stuff in display cases, the prices being kind of on the high side, but a good variety. So I'm interested to look around. And this time we have more time to look around since last time we came on our way home. We had to go to like 3 stores in 2 hours. So this is what the entire front half is like. My mom's very happy because they had a shelf full of dachshund figurines. Personally, I just collect Florence ceramics as far as figurines go. But I like jewelry too. These are the cutest things I've ever seen. They've got little tiny socks for dolls, then they've got little tiny shoes for dolls. Oh my goodness. They're like 18th century shoes. Look at that. I don't collect dolls, but I kind of want those. This one's beautiful. That's like vanity goals. So they have lots of booths in the back, which is really nice because you kind of get the best of both worlds. There's a ton of glassware. They're on the expensive side, but look, hats! So many hats. It's all too expensive for me, but look at this booth. It's an Edwardian dress. 1880s bodice. Tons of hats. I love the hats. Especially this one. That is so neat. It bothers me so deeply seeing these bustle skirts over normal hoops. Like, that's not how it works. That's pretty. My type of hat. So I just left the Annex Antiques, and it's a very nice store. They've got a lot of stuff behind display cases, and they've got a lot of very full booths, and it's quite pleasing in the way it's set up. A lot of it, though, is very expensive. I find that to be one of probably the most expensive antique stores in the area. So it's really nice to look through, but it isn't necessarily a place where you'll be buying a lot. This is our third antique stop. This is German Trading Post Antiques and Showcases. We've been here before, and I recall it being kind of expensive too, but having a nice variety of things. And they had Florence ceramic figurines, which is a rarity among these shops. So I'm eager to look around. So this store is made up of a bunch of display cases at the front, but then it has a lot of little independent stalls. And the stalls are pretty roomy, and there's a big variety of things. So like there's a vintage camera cellar, there's one all about baskets. That one had clothing in it. They had a display case at the front that was all buckles, and I'm really, really interested in like half a dozen of them. So we're gonna go back to that, but for now we're just looking around. There's something delightful about these to me. They're just so cute and little. This is the case of Buckle Dreams. I'm gonna ask them to open it up for me. So we left the German Trading Post. I was really interested in a couple of buckles, but I decided not to get them because they were like $30 or $25, and I didn't think they were very versatile, even though they were really neat. And then we wanted to go to Mad Hatter Antiques as well as Pine Hill Antiques, which are less than 3 miles away. And for some reason our GPS was taking us on a like 50-mile, 1-hour adventure to get to these places. So I decided to try and use my phone for navigation instead, and it took us 5 minutes. So I'm really glad I decided to do that because that was ridiculous. But we're gonna go in and hopefully find lots of pretty things. Now I'm not gonna pay $160 for these, but they match my lamps perfectly.
Your packing skills.
We just got out of Pine Hills Antiques, and it was nice. It wasn't my favorite of the stores we've been into. I found that the prices leaned on the high side for the majority of the booths, and they didn't have a huge range of stuff. There was a lot of glassware, a lot of very pretty glassware. There was a lot of jewelry and a lot of figurines. I didn't see very much sewing memorabilia. There wasn't really any clothing, and there weren't really any booths focusing on more, I guess, masculine antiques. So things like fishing and military memorabilia and trains and comics and all of that stuff. So I really enjoyed looking around it, and things were really nicely displayed. It was one of those stores where you can be confident that you've seen everything, but it didn't feel really sparse either. So I liked walking around. My mom got a couple of things, but nothing really struck my fancy. However, I think we would definitely go back in the future. And now we are just outside of Mad Hatter Antique Mall, so we will see what it has in store. The other side looks far more impressive, but we'll go in here. This case is gorgeous. I like the hand brooch right there, and I like that bracelet. Might come back for it. That means you'll like this place.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it goes on the other side too.
They have a whole shelf devoted to vintage toasters and vintage blenders. And they have a ton like vintage trash cans. I've never seen this sort of stuff in a store before. So many. It's like seriously being in a store that sold these new. It's crazy. Ooh, saucy. We finally found a set of Florence figurines, and they're beautiful, and I want them, and they're $300, so I'm not going to get them, but it is nice seeing this set in person, because I've been tempted by it online before, but didn't think they were that striking. But after seeing them now, I need them, and I'm definitely going to be on the lookout for them in the future. This is where we were just in. I filmed slightly in there, but not a whole lot. It was really, really nice. They had so many vendors and such a wide variety of stuff. I really think anyone who likes antiques would enjoy going there. And they had a whole bunch of clothing too, so I actually picked up 3 new additions to my wardrobe in addition to a pattern and a brooch. So A+ would recommend, and the guy working there, I think his name was Will, was really, really nice and helpful regarding other places to go in Pennsylvania. So that was awesome. And now he said that we should try this one, which is Adamstown Antique Mall, so that's where we're going now. There's been a little change of plans. When we left Mad Hatter Antiques, they gave us a couple recommendations for other places to go.
Continue straight onto Pennsylvania 272 North, North Reading Road.
So we went to those places and they were just okay. I wouldn't really recommend them, but if you're in the area, then they're fine. I definitely
want Pennsylvania 272 North for 1.5 miles.
I definitely think the other antique markets we've been to and the antique malls we've been to today have been much better. And now we are going into Burkholder's, which is a really, really big fabric store that I've never been to before. This is the surrounding area, and it looks absolutely beautiful, but it does not smell beautiful. It smells very strongly of things that come out of cows. These are all batiks. It's incredible. I love batiks. Like if I ever started quilting, it would just be to justify buying batik fabrics. That's so pretty. So these are all prints, and I'm currently on the lookout for a very fun, kind of weird print, similar to the one that I used for the fish dress, because I had so much fun making that dress, and I definitely want to try and find something similar. But it needs to be a very special, very weird print. I really like this floral collection. The blue is really pretty. And the bug fabric's super cute. I think so far this is the top contender, because it would go with yellow things, it would go with white things, it would go with blue things, and it also has those reddish and those pinkish tones in it. This is too similar to the bunny skirt that I made in terms of fabric, but that is a super cute print. I love this homespun, the purpley one, but it's $10.99 a yard. Just a little bit too much for me. They have some of the 30s prints. I adore 30s prints. I'm gonna have a field day in here.